Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Patron Hangout number 155, which means I've been here for about 3 years because one a week. That's kind of amazing when you think about it. I want to welcome everybody who is in the chat room. So many of you, I haven't even had a time to say hello to you before the show, but hello, everybody. And if you'd like to be in the chat room, please do click on the link below for Patreon. Join Patreon. It's $5 a month. I only have one level, and it supports this educational channel. And there are 8 live chats a month, 2 every week, the case file on the weekend, and the hangout during the week. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Please do support the channel by at least subscribing. And check my playlist because there's just tons of cases on there now. These are all cases. They're not stories. These are analyses of crimes going into the criminal profiling aspects and the evidence. So anyway, I know that you're all patrons here, Michaela, but once the live part is over, this becomes public for everyone else. So then they can join Patreon and be here the next time in the part which is not. The live part is for patrons only. But yeah, everybody's going to see this. Everybody. I don't want anybody not to be able to learn from this channel. So again, it's Michaela, you're here live, but this show will be open to the public and thousands of people will see this who are not patrons. And I would love them to join and become patrons. All right, Michaela, I don't know what's up with you today. Anyway, hello, everyone. Okay. Whole bunches of little things. First of all, I want to tell you about trash. My daughter, she was very kind. I was getting ready to take the trash out of my house. So I get Sunbasket, which is a food delivery thing where they send you the food and you cook it yourself. But they're really great. They haven't paid me anything for saying their name, so I'm not getting anything off of mentioning Sunbasket. But I love Sunbasket. The recipes are phenomenal. I don't know who's the chef, but they're like, I like eating them more than I like eating in a restaurant. They're that good, very international. So anyway, I get this big box every week, and when I take everything out, then there's a big box I have to get rid of, and then sometimes I chuck things into the big box because it's going to the trash, and then I get my other trash stuff. So I have my car outside, and I put the big box in the passenger seat, and I put another trash bag on top of that with the intention of driving it down to a trash bin. And I come back out to my car later, and they're gone. And I'm like, who stole my trash? I'm like, who does that? And then I looked over, and I saw it in my daughter's Jeep. And I'm like, did you steal my trash? And she said, yeah, I'm going to go down there. So I just thought I'd save you the trouble. And don't you think that's sweet? Well, I would, except for this one problem. Do you know what the one problem is? I'm going to see if anybody I want to see if anybody knows what the issue is with my daughter taking my trash down to the trash bin. Does anybody have a clue? This is all about investigation. No, it's not leading to dumpster diving. What's the problem? And this is something that's important for all of you to know. No, I do not have a stalker. It wasn't all trash. Wait a minute. No, it was all trash. That's not the problem. She sold it for meth. Oh my gosh. Well, she'll be off the police force very soon. Not this recycling issue. Oh, you haven't figured it out. Because you should know this. It's very important. It wasn't my car because our driveway is really long and it's hard to carry the stuff down there. So I just chuck it in my passenger seat. I drive down on the way out. I was going to I was going to sing at the chorus. So on the way, I was just going to dump the stuff in the trash and keep going. No, I live next to my daughter. She knows where I live. You killed the Oh, no, I have not done in the feral cat yet. No, it's not in the trash. Oh, my gosh. Uh, this is a good point, Lisa. It was still in my car, so it's still private property. This is true. Theoretically, I could accuse my daughter of taking private property, but I have to admit I live on her property, so I don't think I might get away with that. Ooh, Allison, finally, you nailed it, Allison. Possible evidence. That is it. Now, when you put your trash out at the end of the street, once it leaves your property and is in the trash cans or trash bins on the street, it is no longer your private property. And as I was a PI once, and my gosh, the thrill I got out of people's trash. So when I wanted to learn something, what you do is you remove the trash from their property. You just take the trash bags out of the trash can. You drive them home, and then you put down a tarp, tarp of some sort, put some gloves on, because you really don't, it's kind of disgusting. It's not like it's pleasant. You dump the trash out. And from that, you can find out a whole lot about people. You find out what they eat, what they drink. You find out how much sex they're having, depending on how many condoms are in the trash. Sometimes you find letters. Back in the days, you used to find letters. One of the best finds I ever had was I was actually investigating a deaf person. And back in the day, the deaf people used to, you had this, it's called a TTY, and some of them had paper, the actual paper that came out, which printed the conversation. So they threw the conversation in the trash. I was able to read the entire conversations that they had with somebody else. So the trash that gets to the street can tell a lot about you. And so if somebody's trying to learn things about you, that's how they can do that. So when my daughter took my trash, I'm like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't go through my trash. Because there's things her mother may not want her to know about my habits, about God knows, what did I put in the trash? I couldn't even remember. So it's trash, once it leaves your hands, can become public property, and that private investigators absolutely love that, and police absolutely love it. It says you have to go through, it's kind of disgusting, but it's fascinating. You literally find out, like you can almost weave together the person's life out of their trash. Because think about it. That's used condoms. No, that's why I shred everything, and some people do. That is true. Bluebell Rose says, in my archaeology class in college, my professor said, if you want to know about an ancient society, you look through their trash. Absolutely. It tells you about your diet. Bodies will tell you things too. So, but it's very, very useful for investigative purposes, because think about it. When you go through your day, everything you bought, used, ends up in the trash. So it's kind of creepy when you think about it, but that trash can actually identify what kind of lifestyle you're living, what's important to you, what you're doing, what you shouldn't be doing. That's very interesting. Yeah, you need a burn pile. And some people are paranoid enough to make sure that nothing actually ends up in a situation where somebody can get hold of it, especially people who are involved in criminal activities. They have to be extra careful about what they dispose of that can be lifted by somebody else. So that was I just thought of that today when my daughter took the trash. I'm like, oh no, don't look in there. So I'll never find out if she did, because I'm pretty sure she'll keep it to herself, because she's a pretty good investigator. She is a detective. So she wants to know something about me. Well, she can just walk into my house and look. So I live next door. She can just walk in here. So it's not like she couldn't go through everything I own. So therefore, by the way, if you don't want people to find out about certain things about you, do not keep those things available. Get rid of them. So Bluebell says, a forensic scientist uncovered the identity of a London bomber by the saliva on a pack of empty peanuts, which were ripped open by the teeth. Yeah. See, we don't think about those things in our regular life. It's like leaving the trail on the computer. Like, oh, I think I might want to bomb something. I wonder how I make a bomb. And people go on Google and they look things up, and it goes into their history. Now, at the time they're doing that, they're actually not thinking of committing a crime. Well, no, take that back. They're thinking of committing the crime, but they're not ready to commit the crime. So they don't think of it as evidence. So they look at things, and we have that with Casey Antoni. She looked up a bunch of things that were very concerning and should have put her in prison. But that's, you have to, when you look at your history, that's another thing. When you look at computer history, wow, you can see a whole lot about that person. So if you're going to die, for example, and you don't want your kids to find out about you, make sure you get rid of your history so they can't go in and find everything you've ever looked up. It's very concerning. So it's you can, it's a whole picture of your life. Okay, that's the first thing I want to talk about. The next thing I want to talk about was something Benny said. Benny was talking about the last case about the case where the woman was either killed by her son or killed by her husband. The Kine was a Kine case, right? Let me get the name straight. So I seem to want to say Pine, but it's not Pyne. So it is Kine, Kyne. Diane Kine was killed. We just did that show this weekend, and it isn't public yet. But by the time the public sees this Hangout, it will have already been public. But was it the son, her son, or was it her husband? Now, Benny, who is a really good profile in his own right, in my opinion, he does a really good job on things. One of my patrons who I think he's very smart. And he's like, well, it seems to me that the evidence more points to the son, but I think the husband did it. And these are the reasons why. Two reasons. One was his history with life insurance and arson. And, well, that was the main issue. So life insurance and arson. And I want to bring up 2 points with that. And this is where we have a problem when we watch documentaries. The documentary never cleared up, because it was a crappy documentary, the life insurance issue. He had life insurance on 2 of his wives, and 2 of his wives ended up dead. Okay. But in unusual circumstances, shall we say. One was clearly murdered. The other one was supposedly an accident, or was it? And there was supposedly a $250,000 policy on the first wife and a $750,000 policy on the second wife. But this is thrown out during the documentaries. And I have never seen evidence. And this is a problem. When you watch these things, you assume that the documentary people have checked their facts. Look, it's like journalism these days. Nobody bothers with the facts. They don't care about the facts. They want a good story. Did he take out these insurance policies? And could that have been a motive? Well, sure. But I just don't know the truth. So when you watch documentaries, be careful about jumping to that conclusion, even if it's a reasonable conclusion, if it were true. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't have proof of that. And secondly, I don't know when the insurance policy were taken out, so that would they be suspicious or not? And I also don't know the first wife. She drowned in the pool in the middle of the night. I have heard that she fell and hit her head. And then I also heard that she had a garden hose wrapped around her neck, but the police determined it was an accident. I have no clue about this death of his first wife. So I can't say that, oh my God, clearly he killed his first wife for the insurance money. I don't know. They were married 24 years. She came with 2 kids. He was a great father to the 2 kids. They had 3 more of their own. They seem to be happy. I don't know, because I don't know the facts of the first death. So I can't go there and say this is true. I don't know the insurance facts of the second wife's death. I just know that they were married almost 10 years. They were buying a house so they could go off and have their own retirement thing when she was strangled, with only the son and the husband in the house. Could he have wanted could he have got, I heard 500,000, I heard 750,000. Could he have decided that, hey, life was tough right now. I'm having problems with my income. If I can get rid of her, I can get this money. I'll still buy the nice house, but without her, and I'm good with finding women. And he did remarry again. Is he just that kind? I don't know. And the other thing that's very important about this is a thing called precipitating events. We look at a crime, any crime, and you want to look at precipitating events. What happened in the last week or 2 weeks that might have caused this event to happen? And oftentimes you will find that the reason, the motive for what happens at this time does come off of precipitating events. So in this particular case of the Kynes, we do not have any precipitating events. Well, wait, I take that back. The husband, supposedly there was a crash in the housing market and he was a realtor. That could have affected his future income. So that could be a reason for him to off his wife in order to get income. The son, right, in the couple weeks prior, they've been having horrible problems with him. They've been trying to throw him out of the house. He was violent. He attacked the aunt. He attacked a police officer. He wasn't speaking to his mother. He was angry with his mother. I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff in his court that could have pushed him over that edge where he finally said, I'm so angry, I'm just going to kill you. So precipitating events are very important. But in this particular horrible documentary, we're not really given enough information to know a lot. Now, some of the things I've told you don't come from that documentary. They're things I found elsewhere. But then again, some of that is accurate and something maybe less than accurate. So it's just important when you're watching documentaries, you're coming to conclusions. Yeah, that's why I say we're not here to solve crimes. I'm only here to talk about evidence and criminal profiling. It's an educational channel because unless I'm working with that police department and I can see the interviews and I can get all the information, I cannot come to an absolute conclusion. Now, sometimes I think I can, depending on, there's so much public information. I'm like, okay, I know what happened. This is my conclusion. I will come to a conclusion. But in certain cases, it's a little sketchy. And I will say I can't absolutely say because I don't have enough access to the information. So that is an important thing to remember when you're looking at any of these, checking some of your comments. He had emotional issues that he'd been dealing with for at least, he was 23 years old. At 15, his mother remarried. He seemed to like the stepfather, took his name. But then at 23 years old, which is 8 years later, they've been having nothing but trouble with him. He couldn't keep a job. He had drug issues, all kinds of issues, and he was volatile. And at that point, they had actually given him you have to get out of this house within, I think it was 4 weeks. And he was hostile about that. And he and his mother weren't even talking except through, they were texting each other inside the house and not actually speaking verbally. So, but then again, the husband, he might have had motive too. And because of the first wife and the issue about the arsons, by the way, I put quotes around the arsons. I don't know that they were arsons. He had some businesses that have had a type of materials that could go on fire. So the question is, did he burn up things on purpose to get out of certain issues and collect money and go on, which would make him psychopathic? Or are they really just fires? Arson investigation is very, very difficult, very difficult. And a lot of times people can't even seem to come up with a reasonable conclusion on it. So again, I don't know. So therefore I can't jump to a conclusion on it. So, let's see. Okay. So that was the next thing I want to talk about. Just for the fun stuff. Last week I told you, it's not because I like y'all to do some nice things outside of crime. I was working on that puzzle from hell. And yes, I finished that puzzle from hell. I did. Where's my picture? Where'd it go? Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. There it is. The finished puzzle from hell, 1,000-piece puzzle. The problem was that the puzzle, you see the picture? It shows you the puzzle in daytime, but when you have to do the puzzle, it's nighttime and all the colors have changed. And now there's animals running all over the street, like bunches of cats and rats and things. And people have moved and a UFO showed up and it's a nightmare. So I finished it And then I went over to my son's house and knocked on his door and said, "Here, honey, I brought you a present." I told him I wouldn't let him see the picture, my picture. So he has to send me his picture to see whether he could actually do this puzzle, and whether he's going to. Because I want to say, "Oh, that was easy, Mom. I finished it in like a day," and then not have proof. So he better have proof. So I'm going to see whether he can do it. So, no, it's not false. No, not false advertising. They tell you it's daytime, and that what you're going to do is evening. They tell you it's going to change. But that's what makes it so difficult. You have some of the buildings are in the same place, but so much of the colors have changed. It's really hard to put together. And sometimes you'll have like an area that would be solid blue, but because it's nighttime, there's this light coming up from underneath coming out of the cement. And so that one area is completely yellow, and you're not looking for yellow. So it's a tough one, but no, mine is 2 puzzle pieces. Oh, when I was doing that puzzle, I kept looking on the floor for the missing pieces because I swore they had to be not in that puzzle because I could not find that piece to save my life. And in the end, all 1,000 were there. So I was not correct about that. And the other thing I said constantly during this, I spent like 15 minutes looking for one stupid piece, and I'd be going, "Oh, thank God!" And then I put that one piece in. It was rough. It was rough. So anyway, just because I like you to enjoy some other things in life. Other thing is, everybody always asks me about the cat. The cat is coming back every night. Yes, he is. He's a very here he is sitting in the bedroom. Last night he actually came in and he ate his food and he actually sat there for like 30 minutes, and then he left, and I thought, "Oh, I can go to sleep now." And then he returned and sat there for another 30 minutes. So yeah, maybe he's getting a little comfortable, but I'm trying to lure him to eat out of my hand, but that hasn't gone well because he won't let me touch him. He now lets me move around because he's a feral cat. So, if I move too much, he freaks. But before I couldn't even like do this and he'd be gone. Now I can move around, but I can't reach toward him or he gets very nervous. So I'm trying to bribe him because one of my wonderful patrons sent me this stuff, which is these freeze-dried chicken things that you just rehydrate. Oh my God, it's crack for cats. I'm going to tell you that. It's crack for cats. It's unbelievable. So she's trying very hard to help me with the cat. So then I try to hold out these things. And since he won't take them from my hand, I like chuck them. I throw one in front, a little far, and then I throw one closer, and then I throw another one closer. I use 4 a day trying to get him to come closer and closer. He will eat by my bed. And I put my food down here now, so we'll see if he comes in and eats. He will eat near me, but he just won't let me touch him or feed him. But it's going on 6 months now, so it's a long nature project to see if I can get him to actually ever be friendly. They got salmon. Geez, that's very nice. He seems to be happy now to sit in my bedroom and yeah, he seems more calm, but it's he won't let me get near him. So that he's definitely a feral. He's never meowed in 6 months, so he's totally a feral cat. The cat is training me as well. Yes, this is probably true. Temptations are also crack for cats. I thought I heard him. Yeah, so it's a long-term project. I always wanted to go to where was it? Rwanda and hang out with Diane Fossey, and actually wrote a letter to her because I went to Africa and I was going to try to go there and hook up with Diane Fossey with the gorillas. And I was studying anthropology and I wanted to do this study of gorillas. And then she got hacked to death by somebody, and so maybe a good thing I didn't show up. But this is my version of spending time with Diane Fossey and doing a study of animals. So my one other thing before I go into the rest of the crime stuff, this is my picture of the week. So these are the clouds in Texas. When I was down in Texas, most amazing clouds. And so I wanted to do a cloud picture. So that's my new cloud picture, which I kind of like. It's kind of I love clouds. I do. I love photos of clouds, paintings of clouds. I'm a cloud freak. So there you go. So I have to do something else besides crime. Okay, but now let's get to crime. All right. One more fun thing. Well, I don't know if it's fun. It's a dear app. Oh no, I'm going to do this one first. Somebody asked me about, we're talking about Scott Peterson. If you haven't seen my Scott Peterson video, if I remember, I'll link it. I did a thing on Do You Believe Scott Peterson? Because we had the 2 documentaries that came out, one on Netflix, one on Peacock. Netflix was anti-Scott Peterson and Peacock was pro-Scott Peterson. I only got to see the Peacock one because I ran out of time. But you'll see in my video what I thought of that. But one of the things I was talking about was women and men who hook up with inmates. And we've seen them marry inmates, have children by inmates. It's unbelievable. And people say, well, where would you even get a chance to do that? I mean, how would you even hook up with these dudes? So just in case you want to, which if you do, you're probably on the wrong channel. Where to go? Here we go. Meet an inmate. This is a really excellent site. Lady inmates, male inmates. Lonely inmates in the USA seek pen pals. And somebody said, well, they don't have access to the internet, right? Okay, not exactly so, but let me tell you how it works. Okay, so I'm at the Meet an Inmate site. Lonely inmates. Did you know there are millions of men and women who are currently incarcerated? Well, that's unfortunate. Just waiting for someone to write and exchange life experiences. Yeah, I always want to know what criminals do. All of the inmates who are listed here enjoy getting letters, especially those letters which help build their confidence. In other words, these psychopaths love to manipulate you. So when you're stupid enough to hook up with them, they will have a party. It can be a lot of fun communicating with these male and female inmates. Well, it can be fun because they will butter you up. I mean, I pointed out over and over again, if you go on Match.com, you'll see a person who doesn't look particularly attractive half the time. And then they'll have some really creepy thing written below them. And then you contact them and they're like, well, what kind of sex do you like? It's like, oh, good God. You know, they're creepy sometimes. Are you open-minded? These inmates are very real and are seeking pen pals. Receiving a letter is the highlight of the day for most of these prisoners. That's probably true. Just think of how lonely it must feel at mail call and to never hear your name being called. Now, if you didn't want to be lonely, maybe you shouldn't have broken the law. Especially after being locked up for several years. That's because you broke the law too much. And your family and friends have deserted you because you're a psychopath and they want nothing to do with you, especially if you're a murderer. These inmates can't wait to hear from you. Don't be shy. Give it a try. Make the day of a lonely inmate. Meetantinmate.com has been helping male and female inmates connect with the outside world since 1998 and is ranked #1 among prison pen pal websites. That's actually true because I checked the other websites. Meet an Inmate connects people like you with inmates across the United States and offers an easy way to brighten up an inmate's day. It is free to write the inmates. The inmates pay a small fee to be listed. The inmates listed are convicted felons and caution should be used. Really? Be understanding without being gullible. Oh, this is like the online gambling thing, and we want to help you with we have ways to help you not be careless with your gambling. But you're putting a gambling site up there, so you want them to be definitely careless with their gambling, but you're going to pretend otherwise. And of course, those who sell alcohol want you to drink responsibly. And these people want you to be responsible with psychopaths. Sure, that's called a disclaimer so they don't get sued. We recommend and promote using this site to find pen pals for friendship and not romantic relationships. But of course, the people who do this quickly will get into a romantic relationship because they're needy people who probably have a personality disorder of their own, like they could be have narcissism, and they could have borderline personality disorder where they just desperately need something filled up in them. Usually they're not psychopaths who do this, but they have the other two going for them. Getting started. Please read our disclaimer, of course. Although Meet an Inmate is an online service, prisoners do not have access to the internet. All correspondence will be via the United States Post Office, commonly known as snail mail. Note, some inmates now may have access to email, secure messaging services. This site is designed to quickly and easily connect you with inmates with backgrounds and interests. Their background is they're criminals and commit crimes, and their interests, whatever interests they have, doesn't really matter because they can't do any of them outside of read books and fool you. And it may inspire you to pick up a pen and become pen pals. Okay, so now I want a male inmate. Ooh, oh, wow, let's see. Who am I going to go for? Oh, he's pretty hot. I'm looking for someone I think is, he's really sexy. Let's see, how about him? Jermaine, age 47. He's see now. This dude's got a body. I might go for him. Let's find out about him. And you see, they have these places in prison where apparently you can, have like the green screen behind you or some poster on the wall. It's probably just a poster. You can stand there and take a picture like this. Okay. Can you see him? Well, maybe I should make him a little more exciting for you. Okay, that's him. All right, so let's find out about him. Pretty hot looking. All right. He is in Southwood State Prison in New Jersey. If I could describe my old life with music, I would tell you to listen to Jay-Z, Seen It All, blah, blah, blah. Okay, people that I really, rap stuff I really don't know. My character reflects actors like Denzel and Will from iRobot. My favorite foods are fried chicken, pizza, shrimp fried rice, and wherever you are, just gotta have a Big Mac, and I'm there ASAP. Yeah, I don't think you're there ASAP because you can't get out to the bars. Lots of laughs. I can cook too. Fish grits, cheese eggs, and buttered garlic toast for breakfast, or we can do cinnamon pancakes with beef and turkey bacon. I like the beach. God knows how many of these guys like walking on the beach. I like the beach, going swimming in pools, jogging in the AM, and watching sports. I'm a 49ers fan. Ladies of all shades and walks of life. Oh, thank God. I'm not too pale. I'm not too old. I'm looking for a strong-minded, loyal, kind, and intelligent friend. You see, he's not straight for the looks only. He wants a woman who's got the right stuff inside. I am a respectful, except when I hit that person over the head and stole their crap. I'm a respectful, kind-hearted creator from Trenton, New Jersey, with solid confidence. Yeah, because you're on here lying like a dog. Be my motivation. Let's vibe and see if the chemistry clicks. If it does, it'll be like the NASA space shuttle riding on the solar alignment's gravity pull. Life is a series of vast obstacles that challenge your ability and will to succeed. Let's not miss 100% of shots we don't take. I can't walk a mile for someone. You can't walk a mile because your cell is very small. I can't walk a mile for someone who won't cross the street with me, but I'll walk 10,000 miles through a hurricane for someone that's worth it. Respectfully, J-Rock. You don't get that on Match.com. I mean, I date this dude. This guy sounds pretty cool. All right. He's born in 1976. He's 6'4". He has a high school diploma in business management. Oh, he's getting out pretty early. He's getting out in 2026. There's actually hope here because some of these guys ain't getting out for like 50 years. 2026. How long has he been in? Doesn't say how long he's been in there. What does he do in prison? I write books, create candy recipes, and design clothing brands and more. And I'm an entrepreneur with my diploma in business management, certification in Masonry 1, graphic arts, forklift, and currently an IC3 computer class. I mean, tell you, that guy sounds pretty cool. And I just picked him out of a hat here. Okay, I know some of you would like a lady. So I'm going to go find a lady. Okay, let me find a lady. Ladies. And, let's see. She's really pretty. Okay, let's see. She's only 22. Emily. Oh, she's hot. Check out Emily. I'm thinking she worked the streets, but okay. Good looking. Okay, Emily. Hi, my name is Emily. I'm currently serving 2 years, only 2 years. I enjoy reading, binge watching TV shows, and trying new foods and learning new things. I'm looking I'm looking for my soulmate or a sugar daddy. I was right. She isn't for prostitution. I'm looking for my soulmate or a sugar daddy to talk to and keep me company. Oh my God. She wants some money sent to the commissary so she can get extra food. Oh my God. Occupation before prisoner. Wait a minute. Occupation before prison. She was an entrepreneur. Oh my God. You can get more fun reading these websites than oh God, that's hysterical. I'm telling you, the women are usually in for, a lot of them are for prostitution. I'm going to see if I'm trying to find someone who's in for. There's also death row. Is it deathrowinmates.com? Oh, I got to check this out because I can't remember now. Let me see, death row inmate. Because why get hooked up with a person who's going to get out in a few years and bother you? Death row inmate dating. Let's see. Death row prison pen pals, right? A prisoner. Here we are. Of course we're here. See, I'm telling you, there's everything. You can date anybody. All right. Oh, this guy's really good looking. Damn. Look at this dude. Oh, Amos Wells. I'm sorry. I think this guy's cool looking too. Look at that. He has a nice smile on him. He's a good looking man. 33 years old. He's straight. I once read, walls turned sideways are bridges. Well, being that I'm imprisoned, I'm in no short supply of walls that I know would transform into exchange of ideas, into an understanding of the depth of our humanity, and ultimately into a lifelong bond on the pathway of life. Although I'm in my 8th year on Texas death row, well, it's a minor issue. I realize the value that my life continues to hold. What could that be? I see that value actualized through those of you who use your voice, various platforms, and other means to support the effort to end this inhumane practice that strikes at the heart of our collective soul. I tend to see the world as a canvas where we are the media utilized by the essence of existence to express how beautiful society could be. Well, maybe it was before you shot that person to death or raped and murdered them. So I wish for you to walk alongside me on this journey, because walls turned sideways are bridges. And I would love to meet you halfway. Thank you for taking the time to read a little about me, and I can't wait to hear from you. His earliest release is, of course, unknown. What did he do? It doesn't say what he did. See crime. Oh, I get to see the crime. Let's see. What did Amos Wells do? View the court records. Ooh, I don't know. I think I have to pay for this. Crap. It's a pay site, so I can't find out what Amos did, but he's on death row. I mean, it's absolutely, but you see how well they write? And they seem like, oh my God, I can connect with this person. I swear to God, I would find a better date online, male or female, than I can out on the street. Some guy says, hey, you want to go out to dinner? I swear to God, these people have, except for the entrepreneur lady. She didn't impress me. The other two guys, I mean, both those guys are good looking and they had excellent speech and yeah, I mean, pretty good. Pat is probably on the dating sites trolling the inmates. Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. Now, somebody did point out that there are cases like in Gypsy Rose Blanchard, that she had two guys hook up with her in prison. And what kind of people do that? And now this is a celebrity person. There's a difference between regular folks and celebrity people. You got a lot of people who want to hook up with celebrity inmates, serial killers, whatever, whoever is big on the media, because that makes them important as well. Hooking up with a lesser person, and not so much, but there's a lot of people who just want to have any kind of interaction. They can't get it in society, so they know these guys. Well, they're stuck where they are, and they're very happy to have anybody talk to them. And of course, they ask you for money and all kinds of other stuff. So, but they're captive. They're a captive audience. And so you can talk, maybe you even pick 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and they're all sending you letters. You go to your mailbox, you open it up, and oh my God, it's Amos. And, oh my God, this guy's talking about, oh, if only we could walk down the beach together. And you can have a fantasy life. And if they're on death row, you won't ever have to deal with them. Although some of them can still hook up with you, and you can have a kid by them. So you can have sex with some of these guys, which is unbelievable. That should never be allowed in prison. But, then you get to have your fantasy life just for that moment. You're in a safe situation. You get to have sex with them and go home, They never live with you. But now if they're getting out, some of the people hook up with these people who are getting out in 2 years. They're getting set up to be used. So they're like, oh my God, I think I fell in love with this person. And then that person gets out, moves in their house, rapes their daughter, that kind of thing. So not so nice in person. So anyway, I thought you might enjoy that. So in case you want to get yourself write a prisoner, or what's the other one? Meetaninmate.com. That's my favorite site. Meetaninmate.com. It's just highly amusing. So anyway, I thought you might like to have that experience. Anyway, what kind of person sometimes goes for this stuff? I'm going to read a Dear Abby, because it's so ridiculous. Her answer is wrong. Half the time her answer is wrong. But, look at what this spouse, retired cop spouse, wonders how much more of his nonsense she can put up with. Now listen to this. Dear Abby, my husband has been retired from law enforcement for 5 years. I can't retire. I am self-employed. I was always the one who had to take time off of work to care for him with his back and hip surgeries, his mom, his dad, and my mom for the past 15 years. I also took care of his kids during the weekend visits. So she's not the first wife. She's the one who walked into this mess. He has spent his retirement in chronic pain. He stays in bed until 11 a.m. and has reconnected with his high school and college girlfriends. And maybe he's on inmate.com. All of them have cheated on him or stole from him and broke his heart. Of course, he's telling you that bull crap. He's lying to you. One was convicted of felony larceny for stealing from a charity fundraiser. He promised initially that he would give these women up. But for the last 3 years, he has lied to me about being in contact with them. He says he shouldn't have to give them up because, quote, they were an important part of his life. Abby, they gave him STDs and abandoned him while I have stupidly been loyal and faithful. The word that's most important is stupid. No, you haven't been stupidly loyal. You're just stupid. Okay? I know he probably suffers from PTSD and anger issues. So what? So you have to put up with that? Because he is mean to me. Well, because you're stupid. But I so look forward to having a, quote, real marriage once the stress of his I looked forward to having a real marriage once the stress of his job was over. Lady, and people call me lady when they're about to insult me. Lady, people don't get better. You had a guy who was mean to you and probably cheats on you and everything else he does to you. And you think that when he quits his job, he's going to be a better person? Okay. He intermittently packs his belongings and leaves, but he returns after a few hours because he's sleeping with other people. He confides in these women and they speak badly about me because of his lies. I don't want their energy in my marriage. Why do you want his energy in your marriage? These other women don't matter at all. Why are you married to this scumbag, creepy, horrible human being who abuses you emotionally the way he does? What can I do? Bewildered in California. All right. This is Dear Abby's answer. Dear Bewildered, consult a lawyer. Then finally put your foot down. Tell your husband you're appalled by his ingratitude after the years of love and care you have given him, and that unless he agrees to marriage counseling, he will be spending retirement without you. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Don't go to marriage counseling. This man has been a horror. He's an abusive, horrible person. You really think going to marriage counseling, dear Abby, what's wrong with you? You think even if he went to marriage counseling, that's going to somehow he's going to turn into a different person because he's going to realize he's a shitbag? That doesn't happen that way. You have two people who have some issues, but they're both good people and they're trying hard, but they just can't communicate right or something. The marriage counseling might have a purpose. When you got one person in a marriage who treats the other person like absolute dirt, physically or emotionally abusive to the nth degree, year after year after year, like she's describing, you don't need to go to marriage counseling. You need to get the hell out of there as quickly as you can, because you need counseling. Because if you think you should be married to a person like that, you have any hope, you allowed him to treat you like that, yeah, lady, you need counseling. You seriously need counseling. There's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with him, but there's something wrong with you. And that's what I say about people who date inmates. Yeah, the guy's a psychopath and is in prison, but why would you be dating that guy? Why would you be writing him in prison unless there's something wrong with you? I said that to Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I said, hey, you're in prison because you probably have, wait, you got your mother murdered. So that's a biggie. But you obviously have issues. You're going to have issues. You were basically in prison for all of your life by a psychopath. You were imprisoned and you were abused physically and emotionally for a couple decades. You might even suffer from some Stockholm syndrome. You have serious issues. And in prison, you actually having a healthier life than you ever did when you were in that house. But you need help and you need a normal life. You're hooking up with a guy who contacts you in prison. Two of you have personality problems, personality disorders. Two of you. I'm not going to say which one has which personality disorder, but that's not a healthy thing. You should have gotten out of prison. You should have gotten therapy. You should have worked on a normal life. And then when you got yourself healthy, you meet a person who doesn't hook up with you when you're in prison because you're a celebrity killer, essentially. So, yeah. Caitlin, I have learned a lot about red flags since watching so much Pat after COVID. I'm glad. Pat Brown live chat, aka Lonely Hearts Club. Oh my God. Yeah. Starting to feel better about being single, dayless, and no prospects. Well, everybody would love to have, everybody should have connections. They should be connections through family, through relationships, romantic relationships, companionship, friendship, community. Everybody needs connections. Well, a few people don't. They're just happy to go into the mountains and with their dog and go fishing and stay in a cabin. Okay, bully for them, but most people need connections, and it's a healthy thing. All of us don't get all of those connections, or at least not all at the same time. We might have one method of connection for a number of years, and then we lose that connection. We have to find a different kind of connection because we just don't have the opportunities with the other connections. So no matter what situation you're in, look for connections of some sort that give you that, interaction with human beings. And you guys are part of my connections. I mean, that's why I do live shows as opposed to just videos, because, it's a lot more financially valuable, shall we say, on YouTube to do videos and not do lives, to do videos and not spend your time talking to people. Don't answer their messages. Don't be involved in them in any way. Just focus on getting the videos done and making your money. But I like the communications. That's one of my ways to connect with people. And some people who are here think the same thing. They love this community. They like, hey, I got nobody to talk to this evening. And hey, Pat Brown's on. Hey, I got stuck with her, but okay, better than nothing. That's very sweet. See, so that's what. I mean, we all have moments where maybe a romantic relationship would be grand, but if we can't come up with somebody who isn't going to do the things this woman said this creepo did, and you're not having to hook up with the inmate, maybe there's better places to hook up. Oh, that's very sweet. Okay, let me go on now. I had questions about this case, and I wanted to point it out because it's on Netflix now, and I find it very interesting. Second, let me find. Netflix has 2 new things out. Yeah, I can't hardly see that crap. Oh, wow, that's really hard to see. Okay, the first one, let me go pull up my pictures so I can actually read this. The first one is this is all on the Unsolved Mysteries. And this is Volume 4, okay? Volume 4. And the first one in the Volume 4 series, I guess they call them volumes and not seasons. But the first one is Who Was Jack the Ripper? Don't waste your time. I looked at it and I was appalled because it's a bunch of people who don't know anything about anything, who were hired to just sit there and say, well, this is an interesting suspect. And they know nothing. They bring nothing to the table. A complete waste. I was like, that's what you came up with? I'll try to remember to link my Jack the Ripper analysis below. But if you're going to do a show, and they do this all the time, what can we come up with? If we haven't done something on Jack the Ripper in a year, let's chuck another one out. Let's call some people who have, I don't know, can say something. And it's garbage. So don't watch that one. But the second one is Body in the Basement. Amanda, Antoni's husband, finds her body in their basement with blood everywhere. The scene confounds police. Was it foul play or a tragic accident? And this is the woman. This is Amanda. And I think this was in Calgary, if I'm correct. And it's a really fascinating case. Her husband, they thought he might be involved, but he had a solid alibi out of town. He was talking to her on the phone, and then something went wrong with the connection, and he's like, where is she? What's up? And he just figured she just hung up and went about her business. She's got the dog. She's doing something. But anyway, when he got home, he went in the house, and he found her in the basement. And this is a layout of the top floor. There's an overturned chair. Her phone is on the ground. But she is down those stairs to the basement. Now, there's not a door there, but she's somehow ended up in the bottom of the stairs in the basement. There's her phone on the floor. And there's a shelf on the way down, which has this pig bank on it. And the pig bank is smashed, and there's some pieces in her head. And it's on this, let's see. See where he's standing on the stairs? You can see it doesn't have it's not like there's a door there. You can fall off that crap. And on that shelf is where the piggy bank was. And so her head hit that shelf. And then she ends up going down those stairs. And it seems clear that she fell down those stairs. Nothing is broken in her body, except that this is from the bottom of the stairs. And I'm not showing you the blood pictures, but there's a crap load of blood on the bottom. And I'm going to link, what I want to link is the blood spatter explanation, okay? I'm going to link that because a woman who did this in the series, in that show, I was super impressed. Very, very impressed. And you know how hard I am to impress. So I was watching her, because it's funny, I looked at the blood and I went, I think this happened and this happened and this happened, this happened. She comes up and she's basically saying the same things because I'm as smart as her or she's as smart as me. I don't know which one, but I was thinking, this is what I think. And then she was going through it, explaining it so clearly. And I'm like, good job. Just really, really impressed. So let me find a story on this. Hold on a second. Okay. So I'm going to link this below. No, I don't want the next. Oh, okay. So let me explain a little more. So they get there. The autopsy reveals that blunt force trauma caused her to bleed to death. Despite numerous bruises and a broken right orbital bone, I'm thinking that's when her face smashed into the pig bank on the wall. Let's look at that again. So she must have gone down those stairs, smashed her face on that, and then went the rest of the way down those stairs. Okay, and they thought that somebody had attacked her. So they started examining everything, especially because there was so much blood on the floor in the basement. But the blood on the floor in the basement, it looked to me, which is what the blood expert explains, is that she had a massive bleed from cracking her head open. And some of it is like, you can see that she's moved around in it. She's like on the ground and her hair is in it. And then you can see some spots where she gets up and is actually on her feet, and her hand hits the wall. You can see impressions of like the kind of thing where you can see the hand, she's trying to stabilize herself. And there's some blood drips that are straight down, which were not from anybody else. They were all hers. Everything in the basement was her. And it's quite a massive mess of a scene. And her feet do eventually are in front of the stairs, but she never goes up. And she's found dead down there. The dog that she has, you see that dog? The dog was in the house. And then the dog, there's no dog footprints in the basement. And he's not shut out because there's no door there. So the dog could easily go down there and try to go to his mistress and sniff around her and sit with her. They can't explain why the dog nor the cat, I think there's a cat too, neither one went in the basement. There's no sign of anybody else who was ever in the basement. And I believe absolutely there wasn't anybody else in the basement. I think she went down, tumbled down those stairs. She was down there trying to get, the reason she's moving around so much and finally gets to her feet and doesn't seem to get up the stairs is she's probably very confused, maybe almost about to pass out. So she's just doing this kind of thing. And then that's it. She crashes and that's that. But there's no sign of anybody else down there. Nobody went down the stairs. There's no DNA from anybody else, no fingerprints from anybody else, nothing. So they're trying to figure out, because of the up here, they've got the phone on the ground and the overturned chair, which makes them think maybe somebody else was in the house. That maybe they chased her, possibly, and the chair overturned, and then she dropped her phone, and maybe she was trying to get away from them, and then she fell down the damn stairs. Or was she had a little bit of marijuana she had smoked, but not a great amount. She didn't have alcohol in her system, no drugs. She wasn't supposedly a type that even did any of that stuff. And so could she have gotten up and knocked the chair over and then run around there? And why would she do that? And then fall down those stairs at a fairly good clip? Or did somebody push her down the stairs as she was trying to get away? Did they shove her? And that's why she hit her head so hard and then tumbled down. They have not come up with anybody in this case. And it's very interesting. So I will link that below, because I want you to look at, she explains the blood spatter there. And I think it's really fascinating because she's good. And she explains all the details. And I don't sometimes see that in a show, because she takes a while to do it. And I was shocked, because usually they just let her, when I've done shows like this, they say, Pat, what does all the blood down here mean? And I go, well, for first of all, I believe that her foot is clear. She stood up at some point because her own footprint is in the blood. And that's all that's in the show. And the other 20 minutes I explain stuff, or 30 minutes, is not there. In this particular instance, they let her actually explain a lot of the blood spatter pattern, a lot of the blood, not blood spatter, but there's a lot of the blood issues down there. I was very surprised. I thought she did a great job, and I was pleased that whoever produced this show actually let her have a full explanation. So once in a while, I see something good. Do I have an answer? I'm not going to do this, do a whole show on this, because I'm in the same place the police are at. I don't believe anybody ever went down in the basement with her. The only thing I can think of, if I can't quite come up with why the chair would be over, her phone would be on the floor, and why she would be running so hard that she would fall down the stairs. I personally think that it makes more sense that somebody was in there, chased her, and shoved her with a good enough force that she went harder than she would have normally and gone down the stairs. And then at that point, they went, "Oh shit," and they ran and just left. Now, why there's no footprints, fingerprints, I don't know. I don't know whether there was a person who was thinking of burglarizing the place and didn't expect to run into somebody. Maybe he got in there and he had the gloves on, and then the dog came after him, and he whatever, and bedlam ensued, and then he ran. But there's just no sign of anything. They can't come up with anybody else being there. So it's fascinating, but I don't know if they're ever going to come to a conclusion on it, because clearly, to me, she fell down the stairs and cracked her head on the way down. And because of that, unless you can prove somebody else was in there and pushed her, then you can't prove homicide. So, but really fascinating. And I was very, very impressed with the blood expert here. Who was she? Because she's so cool. Sorry, there's bugs flying around. Trying to find out who this is. Crime scene forensic expert. Sergeant Jody Arns and lead homicide investigator Detective Dave Sweet explain how clues can be revealed in the way a victim's blood lands on the surrounding surfaces, such as walls, floors, objects, and clothing. So I'm going to link that below so you can see it right there. And there's a video and there's pictures. And check that out, or go to Netflix and check out the entire show, which then don't leave alone the stupid Jack the Ripper, because that one sucked. Nothing was stolen. Oh, and say that the whole concept of, yes, that's the weird thing. Why didn't the dog go downstairs? That's the conundrum, man. It's like, makes no sense. I mean, normally a dog would do that. And suppose it was her, it wasn't like a dog that it was her dog. So you would think he would be so upset he'd go down there and be with her. Or was it so scary he just wouldn't go down those stairs? Did something scare him bad enough that he wouldn't do that? As far as the cat, I think there was a cat. As far as a cat goes, they could care less. But to the dog should have gone down. Her brain was not damaged. It was basically that she had this fracture, and whatever she hit just caused massive bleeding. And she could have slipped. That's a hell of a slip. It's possible. If she was running, she could have slipped, but who was she? Why was she running? That's the question, because she'd have to be running pretty hard and fast to fall down that stairs, and also hit her head on the way down. It's a very interesting case, but might have thought nobody was home with the boyfriend's car gone, possibly. But yeah, there's just no sign of anybody else being in there outside of the chair and the phone on the floor, which makes you, a little suspicious that she didn't dump the chair over herself and then drop her phone on the floor. And I mean, maybe she were on some kind of drugs or massively drunk, but she wasn't. I say a little bit of weed. I think she had bad headaches, and sometimes she smoked a little weed to get rid of the pain. Now, could she have had such a bad headache that they considered this, that she just, was just so much pain that she was just like running around like this and just. But they have not solved the case, and it's very interesting. A whole show I can't really do on it, but it's quite fascinating. Yeah, that was a very interesting one. I want to talk about what else I got here. These are some of the. Oh, this one. This is just because this one pissed me off, because you know how I feel about. This was the parents. Remember the parents of the I forgot which mass murder it was, but they actually are going to prison for providing the weaponry to commit the crime. However, in this particular instance, this is a Santa Fe school shooting. These two got off. And I'm annoyed by that, because I've always said, if you have a kid in your home and that kid accesses your weapon and goes and shoots up a bunch of people, you should go to prison with him as an accessory. aiding and abetting, because if it's not if their weapon, then you are responsible 100% of what happens. And let's not get into gun control issues here, please. It's not a political channel. So again, don't go there. But if you own a weapon, it legally should be, it's yours to take care of. And they were found not guilty for, not liable for negligence in a civil trial, which I find interesting because I really do. Anyway, the Texas jury found the parents of a school shooter not liable for negligence on Monday in a civil trial brought in connection with the 2018 shooting at Santa Fe High School. However, the jury found gunman Dimitrios Pagortis, I can't pronounce his name, liable and awarded the plaintiffs more than $300 million. Well, he's 17 years old. $300 million from a mass murder? This is just plain stupid. All right. He killed 8 children and 2 adults and wounded over dozens of others in high school near Galveston in 2018 when he was 17 years old. Survivors and family members had sued their parents, accusing them of failing to properly secure the family's firearms and failing to act on their son's declining mental state leading to the shooting. Now, this is what the plaintiff's attorney said. Parents of a depressed child should safely store their guns. No, parents of any children should safely store the guns. Wait, no, parents should simply, anybody should safely store their guns. The only way that you can say, I'm not responsible for what happened with a gun I own, is if somebody breaks into your gun safe and steals the gun. Not that they went in your bedroom drawer and pulled the gun out and ran off with it. No. A gun is either on your person or it's in a safe. 2 things, on your person or in a safe, because that way you're controlling the gun, except for extreme circumstances where somebody literally burgles your house and breaks into the safe. If they don't, and a child commits a school shooting with them, the parents share in the responsibility of those harms and losses, 100% on that. The parents testified they didn't see any warning signs ahead of the shooting. Your kid was a psycho. Your kid is a psychopath. Believe me, you saw problems with this kid the whole time he was growing up. The whole time. And because of that, you may not be able to fix him because psychopaths are hard. You really can't fix them. So I'm not so big on, you should have had them in therapy, because if he's a psychopath, he's probably just a psychopath. But if you got a kid with a personality disorder, you better damn well be sure you got your knives hidden as well. You want to be sleep at night with your doors locked, But one thing, you raise that kid's in your house, you might have to suffer what he does to you. But if he takes your weapons and goes and kills somebody else, you should go to prison with him because you got personality disorder, maybe yourself. This person said, I think the parents need to be vindicated. This is their attorney, and it needs to happen publicly. Really. She said that she respectfully disagreed with, the other one said that she disagreed with the jury's decision. He disagreed. He said parents play a key role in preventing school shootings, 100%, because a lot of school shootings are committed by kids that are in the house with the parents, and they have access to the parents' weapons. So if they access a weapon off the street, they buy something illegally off the street, well, then the parents, I think, are off the hook. But if they get hold of your weapon, you should go down with them. And I just, yeah, that's pretty sickening to me that they didn't think the parents had any responsibility. It was their weapon, and it wasn't locked up properly. Yeah. So, somebody's going to Westminster Abbey. Oh, that sounds nice. Blind to red flags. Well, people aren't nearly as blind as they say. And we take a look at the Scott Peterson case where they say, he's this great guy. The great guy cheated on his wife. The great guy not only cheated on his wife, he lied to the woman he was cheating with that his wife wasn't even, he wasn't even married. Then when she's dead, he lies about that too. He lies where he is. He's in Paris. The guy lies all the time. How do you not know that this is not a decent human being? Of course you saw the red flags. You just didn't, as long as he wasn't, I guess, bothering you with the red flags. In other words, he wasn't stealing from you or wasn't causing you a trouble. Or maybe just because you didn't want to admit. You know all the red flags. You saw them all, but you don't want to admit you raised that character. So some people just don't want to admit they're in denial. And sometimes they remember the small child that they loved, and now that small child has grown up to be a creep, and they don't want to admit. And I always remember the Back to the Future. My favorite thing in Back to the Future was when I forgot the guy's name, the main character in that, and he goes back to the future, right? And he's at a relative's house. So no, he's going back in time, I guess. He goes to the relative's house, and his uncle is in a playpen, because he's only like 3 years old or 2 years old, whatever he is, 2 years old, 1 year old. He's in a playpen, and he looks at him and goes, "You better get used to that," because his uncle turned out to be a criminal, which I thought was pretty amusing. But, at one point, babies are cute. Toddlers are cute. Even sometimes 5 or 6 year olds are cute. Even you can have a smiling picture of your child at 12, but at 13, he's a murderer. So we all can have someone we cared about, loved, but they turned into something that is extremely dangerous. And so people do see the red flags. They just don't want to deal with it or admit it a lot of times. Yeah, I think this is what I think. They should be held accountable, especially if there's something like that. Michael J. Fox. Yeah. Well, no, that was his name, but who I don't remember. I couldn't remember who he played in the movie. Oh, Marty. Was it Marty? I thought Marty was the crazy professor dude or whatever. Was it Marty? Oh no, you're right. I think you're right. It is Marty. Well, that was a great movie. Oh, well, maybe because she won't admit what she's got to admit too. McFly. Yeah. Anyway, so that one just bugged me. Then we have this guy who left his baby in the car. Where is this creature? No, that's not. Oh, this is the. Do you remember that one I talked about? That they on July 13th. This is the last picture of them, and they were on vacation in Mexico, and they were found dead in their rooms. And to this day, they still have no info on it, and they basically closed the case, and they said it was drugs or something, but nobody believes it was drugs because this couple just really wasn't anything that they would do. It made no sense. And a lot of people are just saying don't ever go to Mexico, because that's everybody's quick knee-jerk reaction. Don't go to Mexico because Mexico's horrible. I love Mexico. And I spent a lot of time there, and I haven't ended up dead. And, when you hear about these rare instances, you have thousands and thousands of tourists coming to Mexico all the time. And you have one incident and it said, "Oh my, don't go to Mexico." But, living in this area, I've seen tourists get killed in Washington, D.C. Should nobody come to the United States? Oh, hello, cat. Hold on a second. The kitty is here. Hi, kitty. You can get your food. You want to come and eat? Yeah, go get your food. Okay. He's eating his food. He's slithered in. So let's see. Where's my cat? Is that him? Yeah, here he is. He has just come to eat from his food bowl down there. Hi. Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead and eat. I'm not going to bother you because I know I can't bother you one day. But I just want to say, I don't know what happened in this instance. Let me find the article on it. Where'd it go? Okay. This is it. Children of Sparks couple found dead on vacation in Mexico may never get an answer. And I feel terribly sorry for this family. It's horrific. It absolutely is horrific. They went on July 14th to Cabo San Lucas with work friends. And then they were found, both of them dead in the hotel. Now, this is what I find interesting. Through what information Devin, I don't know who Devin is, gathered by translating police reports and medical records, he said Mexican authorities believe their parents' death involved drugs. But everything I've seen, the amounts of what was found and tests are different in every document. Devin said that because the deaths were not ruled suspicious, the option to run independent autopsies or tests in the United States wasn't allowed. I find that really strange. His parents' bodies have been embalmed and are expected to be flown to a funeral home in Reno. Devin said his father didn't drink, so the idea of them overdosing on drugs is impossible to believe. They were there with work friends, too. They weren't going to go and do that. Devin said friends went to his parents' room and they didn't show up early that morning. And then they found them there, both of them dead. And we've seen this happen. I've seen it happen in, I think it was Dominican Republic, that somebody drank some kind of poisoned, some kind of drink that they had. What was ever in the drink wasn't intended to kill them, but it was some kind of something that was produced illegally or whatever, cheap liquor that had something in it that killed them. Some carbon monoxide has been an issue, and maybe just to prevent lawsuit, they say, oh, it was drugs and not carbon monoxide. So it's pretty horrible. It's pretty horrible to lose somebody and have the other country simply say, well, they did drugs. And I kind of find it hard to believe. So I'm not buying that these parents did drugs. And this is something important. I think when you look at history of people, they don't suddenly, generally speaking, if they don't do those kind of things, suddenly do them. Yes, they're in another country. So might they say, hey, I'm in Jamaica now, I can smoke weed, or I'm partying in some other country. Maybe I'll just, whatever drugs they got floating at this party, I'll just do them because I want to have an exciting time. Is it possible? Yes. These people, I don't know. They got 3 kids at home. They're on a business trip. I mean, I don't buy it. So, but I don't know why they're having so much trouble. I don't know. No, I don't mean spiked drinks. I mean bad alcohol. That sometimes things are cheaply produced. But I know in Mexico, I personally have never run into that. Dominican Republic seems to have a problem with that. India sometimes has a problem with that. But in Mexico, I mean, usually they have a good production of beer and tequila and all that stuff. So that, did I just scare you? No, he's leaving now. Like, come back later. So it's just one of those very sad things that you can't get an answer. But I just want to say it's wrong. They should be able to get an answer. And I believe they should be able to have this autopsies done. I don't understand that. But yes, there is sometimes a problem when you're in another country, that country doesn't want trouble, so that they may indeed cover something up for whatever reasons. Somebody's paid off, somebody, whatever. But it's still a rarity. I just want to point out, horrible as that is, it's not all Mexico. And there's tons of people expats who live in Mexico, people who travel to Mexico, have a fabulous time, a very friendly country. Outside of the cartel areas, you get killed there. But, I just think, I really wish I knew what happened to them. Like Nancy Eng, I don't think we still know what happened to her. She does appear to have drowned, but they've never found her body. Sort of like moonshine if it's produced in some place where somebody shouldn't have drank whatever it was that was produced. So, but I was looking for the guy who's this? Hold on a second. Who is this? Hold on, I got to figure out who these people are. Oh, that's them. Okay, that's their kids. Oh, this is a case of this woman, Ajike Owen. She got shot by this woman. This woman got convicted of shooting her neighbor through the front door. Okay, so what was the circumstances of that? And do I think she should have been convicted? All right, so, okay, here we are. I'm quite annoyed by the headline from CBS News. Jury convicts capital W, white Florida woman, and shooting death of her capital B, black neighbor during an ongoing dispute. There's no evidence this is anything racial. I do not know why race has to be brought into this. It was a neighbor against neighbor. There wasn't any information that this was a particularly race issue in any way, shape, or form. A, quote, white woman was convicted Friday of manslaughter in the fatal shooting of a black neighbor, again, capitalized, thank you, CBS News, amid an ongoing dispute about children playing loudly outside her home. An all-white jury, capitalized again, in Ocala, Florida, found 60-year-old Susan Lorincz guilty after 2.5 hours of deliberation. She faces up to 30 years in prison at sentencing. She claimed self-defense when she fired a single shot with her handgun through the front door on June 2, 2023, killing 35-year-old A.J. Owens. Lorincz told detectives in a videotaped interview that she feared for her life as Owens yelled and pounded on her door. I panicked and I thought, oh my God, she's really going to kill me this time. And so I don't even remember picking up the gun. Really? I mean, where was the gun that you picked up? You had to have the gun extremely available. You can't not remember picking up the gun because it had to be right there. Either it was on your body, well, she said picked up, so it's not like in her waistband or something. She picked up her gun. Where was the gun? I can't think she lived alone, so maybe she had it on a table in the front hallway or something. I just remember shooting. The confrontation came amid a dispute between Lorincz and Owens over the latter's children playing in a grassy area near both their houses. Lorincz said in an interview that she had been harassed for most of the 3 years she lived in the neighborhood. The victim's family members broke down in tears after she left the courtroom, blah, blah, blah. Let me see if I can find more about this. Woman had 4 children. Now, during closing arguments, prosecutor Rich Buxman said there was no evidence that Owens posed an imminent physical threat to Lorincz, which is a requirement for shooting somebody, but came to the defendant's house after her children complained she had allegedly thrown roller skates and an umbrella at them amid a long-running annoyance at their boisterous play outside. It is not a crime to bang on somebody's door. It is not a crime to yell. There was no imminent danger whatsoever when she fired the gun. Lorintz's lawyer said she was frightened by her aggressive actions and was legally justified in firing her gun under Florida's stand your ground law. An autopsy found Owens weighed about 290 pounds, making her much larger as well as younger than Lorincz, and the two had previous confrontations. So one was a strong, tough woman who was younger, and the other one was an older woman. She can defend herself. She can defend herself. She had a split decision to make whether or not to fire her weapon. And then the argument was that she was sick of the children once in the 911 call. She said she never intended to harm Owens, but she also said that in another 911 call, she was sick of the children. She was not in fear, said the prosecutor. She was angry. Owens' family was surprised that no black jurors were selected for the trial, given the racially sensitive nature of the case, which I don't know that it was, but at any rate. So they found her guilty. So I guess that white jury found her guilty. But do I think she had a right to shoot the woman through the door? I've had some crappy neighbors. I've been around some crappy children. They can drive you over the edge. And the parents of those children often don't care. They allow their children to harass the neighbors. They don't have any concern that the person's trying to sleep and the kids are shrieking and shouting outside the window. They don't have any problem when they trample their flowers or run into the yard chasing balls. And they don't care. They're like, my children have any right to do whatever they want to. So a lot of times we have parents who are poor. They are not making sure their children are good citizens. And they are harassing and driving their neighbors nuts. I had one of those behind me, believe you me. It was really problematic. And after a while, it enrages you because you can't sleep. You can't sit there and have a nice time. I had the kids they're on the deck right behind I'm trying to work in my library, and they're shouting MF and this is shouting and screaming and throwing things, and they're getting drunk, and you can smell the weed coming over. I mean, and they were juveniles, mind you. And it can be really annoying. And the same thing true for little kids. They can be pretty nasty little creatures. So I think this woman was driven nuts. I think she had 3 years of hell. However, at that moment when that mother came to the door, pounding on it and shouting, And now you can look at whether the person had a fear of their life at that point. Pounding and shouting does not mean that that person in the next 5 seconds or the next minute is going to kill you. You have a door between them and you. Now, what they can't do is enter your house. That probably still could be a question for a lot of people. But in a situation like that, what you do is you get on the phone to 911 and say, there's a woman beating on my door, shouting, I'm afraid she's going to break in here. I have a weapon. I have it trained on the door. I will not shoot it unless she comes through the door. And that's what you do. You like hide behind a table or get against behind a wall. You aim at the door because you have the right. If that person comes bursting into your house, you do have the right to take them down because you are at that point. If I'm at my age, let's say I'm at my age, and a woman who is Amazonian and younger and maybe tough is beating on my door saying, I'm going to do something to you, I am going to be scared. And if she gets through that door, she can come and beat me into a pulp. I would have the right to take her out. However, in this particular case, she never entered the house. So beating on a door and yelling, hey, that's not quite enough to be able to shoot somebody. And shooting through a door when you do not know who you are hitting, you know that woman's out there, but that woman could have her kid in front of her because some of these parents will do that same thing. They'll drag their kid up the door. We're going to go talk to that lady, put the kid in front of her and start beating on the door. And that shot could go right into the child. Now you could blame the mother for doing that, but still you can kill a child through a door. You do not know what you're shooting. You cannot shoot at a target you can't see. So I think she should have been convicted. But being a crappy neighbor will get you killed too. That's the old line. You have to drag her inside after you shoot them. Well, except that if the shot goes straight to the door, you kind of got physical. You got, ballistics evidence that didn't work that way. Even if it's warranted, I don't know if I could shoot someone. Well, that's a point. I always say to people this: if you envision that you can do it, you probably can do it. If you can't envision it, you probably can't do it. So I always say, let's say, I use this example all the time. Take your significant other, and you come home and you find them in bed with somebody else, maybe your best friend in your bed. What do you do? Some people would say, I'd shoot both of them. Those people you got to worry about because I actually can envision killing them. If they say I would shriek at them, then that's probably what they would do. If they said I can imagine myself throwing things. No, throwing dishes, smashing something that they own. Like that's their trophy. Throw the trophy. Yeah, if you can imagine doing that, that's probably what you might do. Throwing things out the window, whatever, whatever you can imagine is something that is in your brain as that I could do. If you can't imagine doing it, then probably you cannot. I never could imagine shooting my ex-husband, ever, even though I did own a weapon. But I've always said, if I came in and found somebody attacking my daughter, somebody trying to rape my daughter, I'll shoot them. That vision is right in my head. I'll blow them away. So, see, I do have that vision. But I don't have a vision of shooting through a door at anybody. Somebody's beating on my door. I'm not just going to, I have no vision of shooting at them. But I might get a weapon because if I think that person is going to come after me as they get through the door, yeah, I might do that. That's a vision in my head. So you got to be very careful. The rule always is you cannot shoot unless if you don't pull the trigger, you believe the next second you will be dead. And you have to be able to prove that to a jury, that if I didn't pull that trigger, I wouldn't be here now. Well, she couldn't prove that with the woman on the other side of the door. She couldn't. But if the woman had broken the door down and she had shot her, she might have gotten off on that one. So, that is the correct statement. I always forget how to say this. Better to be tried by 12 than carried by 6. That is the absolute rule. That you think you're about to be carried by 6, therefore I'd rather go to court and have 12 people, even if I don't like juries, decide, because otherwise I'm going to be dead anyway. So you have to truly believe you don't have a choice. She had a choice and she didn't take it. So that's why she got found guilty. Where is this other one? This one. This is the guy. Oh my God. This guy left his little baby in the car. And he, find it. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. This guy, he needs to go to jail. Now, sometimes people leave a kid in the car and you're like, well, you know, they got distracted. They forgot, like my wife always picks up my kid from my daughter from school. And this one day out of 2 years, I picked her up, and when I got home, she was asleep and I completely forgot I picked her up. That can happen. However, listen to this story. It was reported last month that Parker Scholtes had died after being left in a hot vehicle by her father, Christopher Scholtes. Temperatures on that July day reached 109 degrees in Arizona as he left her daughter in a car after returning from a shopping trip. Did he leave her there accidentally? No. Air conditioning had been on for the toddler, but the car automatically shut off after 30 minutes. Despite the best efforts of healthcare professionals, she was later pronounced dead. The dad had been allegedly distracted by his PlayStation. How old are you, dude? Which led him to forgetting Parker was in the car. Now, how long was she in the car? They started questioning him. How long had Parker been in the car? I want to say it was no more than, well, he wanted to say that, but it wasn't true. But he just wanted to say that. Want to say is a very interesting terminology, by the way, for statement analysis. I want to say it was no more than 30 or 45 minutes. And I don't think the air was off the entire time. I think there was a time in between when I checked. I think there was a time in between. You think. He wants to say, and he thinks. I had checked on her last. It was still running. She was still sleeping. And then when I went back out, the car was off. Now, how long was she actually in that car? 3 hours. Yeah. Meanwhile, the dad's 2 other children who aren't dead yet, aged 9 and 5, told police in their investigations that Christopher would regularly leave them alone in the car. Last week, he pled not guilty to first-degree murder and child abuse. That's not accidental. That's not accidental. And if you really just leave your child out in the car at 109 degrees and go in and play PlayStation for 3 hours, just because you just didn't want to bother to pay attention, you killed your kid, you deserve to go to prison. I have no sympathy. Horrible human being. Yeah. That was just horrifying. So that was just one quick one. Oh, I really want to talk about this guy. Where is he? Now I gotta find him. Where'd he go? This guy? Hold on a second. No, that's that guy. I'm trying to find him. Shoot, where is he? No, it's Baby K. That's a different one. No, I don't have a picture of him. I lost my picture of him. Anyway, I can't find a picture of him. But this guy, what happened to my picture? Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find my picture. No, apparently I forgot to bring it over. But he is a guy that's, this is just to me a fascinating story. Where is he? Marcellus Williams is an Innocence Project thing. Oh, I forgot to bring that over too. Hold on a second. I'm going to just have to show you other ways. So Marcellus Williams is a guy who, let me me find it. Okay, this is from the New York Times. Marcellus Williams. They were trying to get him off of death row. Sorry, everything's very slow right now. Come on, hurry it up. Okay. Mishandled evidence scuttles prisoner's bid to prove innocence. Okay. So what happened was this. This guy named Marcellus Williams was on death row. And this woman had been stabbed to death in a robbery. And he was convicted of it. And they had the weapon was a kitchen knife. And they had found traces of another male DNA on the kitchen knife that was used to stab her to death. So they're like, oh, this is going to get him off, right? But turned out it was actually one of the detectives or technicians that had mishandled the knife, and there was no other unknown male DNA. It turned out to be, let's see, who was it exactly? Who was male? Yeah, the initial testing of the knife detected male DNA that excluded Mr. Williams. So there. Oh my God, there's a different perpetrator, right? But it turned out it was consistent with that of an investigator and a prosecutor involved in the original trial. So somebody at some point touched it. That when they went to retest it, it was during the original trial that somebody had touched it. So there was no other DNA. But I want to point out, this is again what I have a problem with the Innocence Project. Now, let me tell you, this is what the Innocence Project says about this guy. Marcellus Williams. I'm going to have to show you a picture this way. That's Marcellus Williams. All right. There he is. All right. It says here 32 days. They were down to like the last month. He took a plea deal because they had some messed up thing, and now he's got life in prison. So he actually got out of the death penalty. But they're saying here that Marcellus Williams is scheduled to be executed September 4th, no longer because of this mix-up, but still, they're not saying he's going to be life in prison. Because it's believed the DNA results will be proved by clear and convincing evidence he did not commit the crime. Well, that turned out to be not so. But so anyway, with his DNA wasn't on the knife. Okay, the claim was he wore gloves, and that's why his DNA isn't on the knife or fingerprints. But neither was there another male DNA that wasn't the prosecutor. So they're saying that he did not commit this crime. Now let's look at the facts. A crime scene covered with forensic evidence contained no link to Mr. Williams. Supposedly that's true. The prosecution's case against Mr. Williams was based entirely on the unreliable testimony of two incentivized witnesses. So two people testified against him because there was reward money involved. Racial bias contributed to Mr. Williams' wrongful conviction. No, it didn't. Mr. Williams is devoutly religious and an accomplished poet. And he's probably on in the inmate dating site too, because he's now a poet. So now he's this wonderful religious guy who writes poetry. And he didn't do anything. Because he was Black, essentially, he was chosen to have this crime pinned on him by two people who were going to get rewards, and there's nothing linking him to the scene, according to these people. But is that true? All right. The reason he got there were two people who testified. One was a guy. This guy was in this nice fellow who is a poet, was a burglar. He was a burglar and a violent criminal. He had a record of quite a few incidents where he was jailed for being a burglar. And he also attacked a guard and smashed the guard's head in. So he's violent. The guy in jail was the one who got information from him and gave that information to the police. And he said, he explained to the guy in jail more than once how he committed the crime. And that information went to the police, and they said they did not give that information to the other guy. So, I mean, they could have slipped him that information, but that supposedly is not what happened. So, and then this girl showed up. She gave a story about how told her he committed this crime, that he killed this woman in this brutal home burglary gone bad because he didn't know anybody was home. So he was burglarizing the place, and then she came down and he stabbed her many times. But now what they don't tell you, here's what the Innocence Project does, which is why I consider them frauds. Do you hear anything? There was no evidence and nothing linking him to the crime except these two people. No, what linked him to the crime was that he went to a pawn shop with the woman's computer, the woman he murdered. He had her laptop. It wasn't any laptop. It was her laptop. And he went to sell it at a pawn shop. Also in his car was a calculator and a ruler. I don't know why these things, but that was also missing from the place. So he had 3 items that were missing from the home. 2 of them you could say, well, they're just like the items that were missing from the home. But the laptop was definitely her laptop because her stuff was on the laptop. He took it to pawn it. His claim is that, and his defense's claim is that he was only pawning it for his girlfriend. She was the one who had it and asked him to pawn it for her. This is the Innocence Project that wants to get out a guy who is a longtime felon, a violent criminal, who they claim nothing linked him to that crime scene. Well, yes, it did. Her laptop linked him to the crime scene. And people who he confessed to, who gave all the details, and the other stuff in his car. So they lie. They lie. So when you say, oh my God, this poor guy, no, he's where he belongs. Absolutely where he belongs. And the Innocence Project, despicable. If they want to say, hey, this is what he had, they tell the true story, which I found under the appeals. Remember, I always tell you, you got to read the appeals. That's how you find out the real information. Otherwise, you're going to listen to the Innocence Project. They're not going to tell you. See if I had any more information on this fellow. Let's see. Okay. The only items of physical evidence possibly tying Marcellus to the crimes were, this is not from the Innocence Project. This is from the defense team during the appeal. The laptop computer, which was hers, and a calculator and ruler found in Marcellus's car, which may have belonged to the victim. Well, the computer definitely did, and the others, as I said. But no evidence conclusively showed that these items had once belonged to the victim. And even so, Laura, his girlfriend, very easily could have placed them in the car, since she too was living in it. Okay, so both living in the car. The laptop computer, on the other hand, definitely came from the victim's house. Thus, it was crucial for the state to show that Marcellus had exclusive possession of it, and for the defense to show that he did not. By refusing to let the defense reveal the rest of the conversation, they and this is the appeal process. He had struck a guard over the head with a metal bar and tried to assault another guard while trying to escape from jail. Let's see, what else about him? Okay, I already read that one. So yes, but he's he's religiously very devout, and he writes poetry. Makes him a good dude. Yeah, okay, sure. Lord. Let's see. Let's see if any other things here. Let me look. I have a couple. Who is this one? Oh, somebody asked me to talk about Luzalda Cuevas. This is just a sad, bizarre story about this woman. She was reunited with her baby, who is now 6 years old. A 6-year-old girl allegedly taken from her crib as a newborn child has been reunited with a biological mother. Now, what happened was she was at home, and let's see, let me find the better story of this. This is just weird. She was taken from her crib in December of 1997 by a woman named Carolyn Correa, 42, who then set fire to the house to cover up the kidnapping. Cuevas had long believed that her daughter was alive, even though the authorities said she died in the fire. So this woman took the baby and set the house on fire. They said that Correa raised the girl as her own until January, when the two ended up at the same birthday party. Who then had a hunch when she saw this girl She goes to his birthday party and she's like, why, that kid looks just like me. And she had a hunch, and she was introduced to the child as Alaya Hernandez, but she thought it was her daughter. And then she got a DNA test and proved that she was right. Correa was charged this week, and she's being held on $1 million bail. Under the custody arrangement, Cuevas and her ex-husband Vera will share legal custody of the girl, but she will live with the biological mom. And that said the transfer of custody will be a gradual process. I don't know how you have a gradual process when the woman who raised her is now in jail. There's no gradual there. Maybe there's some other family relatives that she can stay with that didn't even know about this. The mother and her now 6-year-old daughter was kidnapped as a newborn and raised by another woman, hugged and kissed during their reunion. She says that she said here, she got a hug and her kiss. Her daughter sat in her lap, and she seems happy to be with her. These cases are so horrific because the person who does the kidnapping, and from the moment that child is a baby, raises that child, she is in effect that child's mother. That child only knows her as a mother. Now, I don't know. I'm assuming if you steal somebody's baby, you're probably psychopathic. Okay. That's not normal. Stealing people's babies and burning down the house, not normal. You got some major issues. That you think it's okay for you to steal a baby from somebody else. I don't know how she brought that baby home and people believed it was hers, but this has happened more than once. Like somebody will be like overweight and they'll claim they're pregnant and then they'll leave town and come back with a baby. And even the boyfriend or husband will go, oh, you had the baby. So the whole story isn't clear yet, but what's so sad for that child is that her mother is now in prison, is in jail, and she's going to go to prison for the rest of her life. She's lost her mother, the one who raised her. Now, again, she could be I assume she's a psychopath, but even some psychopaths can enjoy raising a child until they don't want them around anymore. And that's where we have family annihilators. But she could enjoy the little baby. It's her baby. And she could dress it up and treat it nice and feed it and be a pretty good mother to it. And that child sees that woman as her mother. And now she's lost her mother. And she's going to go live with a stranger who is her biological mother. It's just horrifying. I mean, it's not a healthy thing for that child, but what do you do? I mean, they're in a rock and a hard place type thing. What do you do? That child, obviously, if the woman kidnapped her, she has to go to prison the rest of her life. There's no way around that. She needs to go away. And that biological mother deserves to have her kid back. It wasn't a mix up at the hospital. This was a criminal act. So hopefully somehow this child will be okay with her new mother, who was her real mother, or at least her biological mother. It's just gives me shudders because they're sad. It's really sad. That's all I can say. Oh my God, just a horrible. The child, what do you mean she's only 6? She was kidnapped as a baby. 6 years went by. She's 6. I'm not sure what the problem is there. What is a ceiling? Maybe it's a ceiling rosette. Where? What are you looking at? What's a ceiling rosette? I don't even know what that is. I don't see a rosette. I'm looking back now. Isn't it a reflection of a rosette? Oh, you want to know what that is? You mean what's above me? Okay. I can show you. It's very pretty, actually. It is if that's what you're talking about. It is a lamp I bought in Egypt. It's very pretty. It's an Egyptian lamp. It's got green, orange, white, red, blue, all the different colors around it in around the light. It's very pretty, especially in the dark. It's really beautiful. So I don't know if that's what you're looking at. So it's a ceiling lamp. It's a light hanging from the ceiling. Look at your picture up in the middle. Up in the middle. Oh yeah, there. Oh, so yeah, that's reflecting. It's reflecting the light. That's correct. Not a UFO, but it kind of looks like a UFO. So I think I have one more thing to do, and then I'm going to call it a night. Let's see, what was the one more thing somebody asked me to look at? Baby K wasn't it, but Baby K bugs me. Baby K, this happened in my neighborhood. This is in my county. This guy got on the bus with two other guys, put a gun to one of the other riders' heads, and pulled the trigger, and it jammed two more times. So the guy survived. He got 25 years for attempted murder attack on a Prince George's County school bus. He was 17 years old. Originally got 60 years, and then suspended rest 35 of them, and he got 25 years. The teenager attempted to shoot another student at least 3 times on a school bus, but the gun jammed. I bet that guy's amazed he survived that. A group of teens in 2023 attacked and tried to kill another student. The gunman, Caden Holland, also known as Baby K, was 15 years old at the time, only 15. And the gun malfunctioned. Well, you buy those cheap ones off the street. You never know what you get. So then the question is, it was attempted murder, no question. And he got tried as an adult. They argued that, the reason they wanted an adult court, he already had prior weapons charges, failed to follow through on his probation, and had been the aggressor in 3 fights since his arrest. I would say if he's got prior weapons charges, we aren't taking juvenile crime seriously enough. So, State Attorney Aisha Braveboy, and I think that's the one I'm not overly fond of, acknowledged in March that this was a difficult case. Prosecutors are recommending that he serve his sentence at the Patuxent Institute, citing the therapy and counseling programs that are available there. Are you going to need more than therapy and counseling? It's questionable. Oh, is that the other one? Okay, one more, and then I'll stop. This was this is where you just wonder what the heck's wrong with people. This is a shooting at the Taco Bell. This woman got shot to death in the Taco Bell drive-thru lane in Ohio. Apparently at 7:19 p.m., a vehicle struck the back of the woman's car in the drive-thru lane. And people called 911, but then there was a shooting at the same exact place, because this is what happened. A man in the drive-thru lane exited his vehicle, approached the car in front of him, and shot the driver. The man then used the gun to kill himself. The woman was 25-year-old Megan Killerman, and the man was 53-year-old Jason Williams, both from the same town. Motivation is unknown, and they do not know that they knew each other. They said that he began blowing his horn at her when she pulled in front of him in the drive-thru lane. Well, this question is, sometimes people cut in line, which they shouldn't do. And that's a good reason why you don't want to cut in line, because you don't know who you're cutting in line in front of. Then he struck her, and then she used the drive-thru speaker and told the employee to call 911. And then he got out of the car and shot her. And then he shot himself. Be very careful who you piss off, because, it's a problem with road rage too. Sometimes you just want to give that person a finger because they pissed you off, and then they shoot you. Or you decide you're going to do something stupid and cut somebody off, and they shoot you. And of course, I don't even know that she actually cut in front of him. Maybe she didn't. Maybe he just wasn't moving up, and she thought he wasn't going anyplace, so she pulled in front of him. Who knows? Maybe they both came at the same time, and either one could go in front. I mean, poor woman. I mean, who thinks you're going to go to Jack in the Box to get a burrito and get killed in the drive-thru? Just horrifying. It's just, her dog was with her, really? Just so sad. I mean, sometimes you just wonder, but you can't not leave the house. So that's just like I say, don't be, oh, I can't ever go to Mexico. Yeah, sure you can. There's a lot of great places in Mexico, and you're probably not going to get killed when you're down there. But, things can happen any place. So you don't go to Mexico, but you go to buy Mexican food, and look what happens to you. So I like people not to live in total fear, because, don't do real stupid stuff, but also don't live in total fear. Otherwise, you just don't get to enjoy any of life, because you imagine all these things that can happen to you, and they can. But then again, maybe they're not going to happen to you. So, yeah. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Yeah, I'm not looking for the cat. I'm just thinking now. So now it's I will take my special food. This is the extra food for the cat, and I'll take it to the bedroom and leave the door open so he can come back in and find his fancier food. And you can all take bets on, do you ever think I'm going to be able to pat the cat on the head? Do you ever think, and if you do think I'm ever going to be able to touch this cat, how many years do you think it's going to take? Oh, thank you, Lisa. It is so nice. Anyway, good night, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for distracting me from trash night. Hey, I serve some purpose. I always try to serve some purpose. Bye, Lady Jane. Bye, Michaela. And I will see you Sunday, no doubt. I have not yet decided what the show is going to be for Sunday. But hopefully by then I will know, and I will send you over your link. And I will be doing, I think next week, I will do the review of the Sudden Impulse book by Burnt, a Madeline McCann case, because I've been trying to get a whole bunch of things together. And Scott Peterson threw me off for the week, and that lovely show. So give me your birth time. I don't know my birth time. I was born somewhere between midnight of one night and midnight of the next. That's all I know. So anyway, see you guys on Sunday if you're awake, depending on where you live in the world. And if you're new to the channel and you're still lurking around, hey, subscribe to the channel or join Patreon or do both. And I'll see you. Bye.